Nobody expected that when Millionaire CEO Marcus Sterling took a wrong turn through Detroit's abandoned East Side, he would discover twin brothers running an underground car repair business in a vacant lot. But what these 16-year-olds told him about their incredible journey from homelessness to entrepreneurship would change his life forever. Before we get to this wonderful story, please subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Now, let's get back to the story. The late afternoon sun cast long shadows across the crumbling streets of Detroit's East Side as Marcus Sterling realized his GPS had led him into a neighborhood that bore little resemblance to the business district he'd intended to visit. At 43, Marcus commanded Sterling Automotive Group, one of America's largest luxury car dealership chains, with showrooms in 37 states generating annual revenues exceeding $4 billion. Marcus had come to Detroit to meet with Ford executives about an exclusive partnership deal that would revolutionize luxury vehicle sales across the Midwest. However, construction detours and his unfamiliarity with the city had led him far from the gleaming Renaissance Center into streets lined with abandoned buildings, overgrown lots, and the remnants of a once thriving industrial neighborhood. As he navigated his pristine Porsche Taycan through pothole-filled streets, Marcus felt increasingly uncomfortable. This wasn't the Detroit he knew from business meetings and conference rooms. This was a side of the city that reminded him of economic realities he rarely confronted in his insulated world of luxury automobile sales. His phone showed no signal, making navigation impossible, and the fuel gauge indicated he was running dangerously low on battery power. Marcus began looking for any sign of civilization where he might find assistance or at least get his bearings. But what Marcus was about to discover in an abandoned lot would challenge everything he thought he knew about automotive expertise, entrepreneurship, and the incredible resourcefulness of the human spirit. As Marcus drove slowly through the desolate neighborhood, searching for a way back to familiar territory, he heard sounds that seemed impossible in this abandoned area. The distinct noise of automotive work, metal clanging against metal, the whir of power tools and voices calling out technical instructions echoed from somewhere nearby. Following the sounds, Marcus turned into what appeared to be a vacant lot wedged between two condemned buildings. What he discovered there made him stop his car and stare in complete amazement. In the center of the lot, two teenage boys who appeared to be identical twins were working on a collection of vehicles in various states of repair. The improvised garage had no roof or walls, just an open space where someone had laid down wooden pallets to create a work surface and rigged extension cords from a nearby building to power basic tools. The twins, both appearing to be around 16 years old, worked with the focused intensity of seasoned mechanics. One was underneath a late-model sedan, calling out technical specifications to his brother, who was methodically rebuilding an engine on a makeshift workbench constructed from cinder blocks and plywood. What struck Marcus most profoundly was not just their obvious skill, but the professional quality of their work environment despite the improvised conditions. Tools were organized systematically, parts were cataloged and stored efficiently, and the twins communicated with the precise technical language of experienced automotive professionals. Marcus sat in his car for several minutes, watching this remarkable scene unfold. These teenagers were performing complex automotive repairs with equipment and in conditions that would challenge many licensed mechanics, yet they worked with confidence and obvious expertise. When Marcus approached these remarkable twins, what he learned about their background would reveal a story of survival and determination that would bring him to tears. Marcus stepped out of his Porsche, immediately drawing the attention of both brothers. They paused their work and approached him with cautious but respectful demeanors, clearly surprised to see such an expensive vehicle and well-dressed visitor in their neighborhood. "Good afternoon, sir," said one of the twins, wiping grease from his hands with a relatively clean rag. "Are you having car trouble? We might be able to help." His brother nodded in agreement, adding, "We work on all types of vehicles, from classics to modern electrics like yours. What's the problem?" Marcus was immediately impressed by their professionalism and the confidence with which they offered assistance. "I'm actually just lost," he admitted, "but I'm fascinated by what you're doing here." "This is quite an operation you've built." The first twin smiled with obvious pride. I'm Derek, and this is my brother Damien. We run D&D Auto Repair. It's not much to look at, but we do good work. How long have you been operating this business? Marcus asked, looking around at the sophisticated organization of their improvised workspace. About 2 years, Damien replied, ever since we aged out of foster care and had to find a way to support ourselves. The casual mention of foster care and aging out hit Marcus like a physical blow. These weren't teenagers playing at being mechanics. They were young men who had created a business out of necessity, developing extraordinary skills to survive on their own. Aged out of foster care? Marcus repeated, wanting to understand their situation better. Derek's expression grew more serious. We turned 18 6 months ago, which meant we couldn't stay in the foster system anymore. We'd been bounced around different homes since we were 10, when our parents died in a car accident. Most families didn't want to take twins, so we spent a lot of time in group homes. But when the twins revealed how they had learned their incredible automotive skills, Marcus discovered a story of ingenuity and brotherhood that would fundamentally change his understanding of education and opportunity. Marcus found himself drawn into their story, genuinely curious about how 2 teenagers had developed such sophisticated mechanical abilities. Where did you learn to work on cars like this? The brothers exchanged a glance, and Damien answered first. One of our foster fathers, mister. Johnson owned a small repair shop. He wasn't great at the family stuff, but he taught us basics about engines and electrical systems. He said if we were going to live in his house, we might as well make ourselves useful. Derek continued. After we left that placement, we kept learning on our own. YouTube videos, library books, online forums where mechanics share techniques. We practiced on abandoned cars and junkyards until we got good enough to fix other people's vehicles. And the business side of things? Necessity, Derek replied simply. When we aged out of foster care, we had 3 choices. Find jobs that would pay enough rent to keep us together, split up so we could each afford individual housing, or create our own income source. We chose option 3. Marcus was amazed by their matter-of-fact approach to what must have been a terrifying transition. How do customers find you here? Damien gestured toward several vehicles parked nearby. Word of mouth, mostly. We started by fixing cars for people in the neighborhood who couldn't afford regular garage prices. Mrs. Rodriguez was our first customer. Her transmission was slipping, and she couldn't afford the $800 the dealer wanted. We fixed it for parts cost plus $50 labor. Now we have regular customers, Derek added. People know we do quality work for fair prices. We're not trying to get rich. We just want to earn enough to rent a real place and maybe save money for technical school. The humility and professionalism in their approach impressed Marcus tremendously. These young men had created a legitimate business based on skill, integrity, and community service. When Marcus witnessed the twins' extraordinary technical abilities firsthand, he realized he was looking at automotive talent that could revolutionize his entire industry. Would you mind if I watched you work for a few minutes? Marcus asked. I'm in the automotive business myself, and I'm curious about your techniques. Both brothers seemed pleased by his genuine interest. Sure, Damien said, returning to the engine he'd been rebuilding. This is a 2019 Honda Civic with timing chain issues. The owner was quoted $2,800 at the dealership, but we can fix it for about $400 in parts. As Marcus watched, Damien methodically disassembled the engine with practiced precision, explaining each step and the reasoning behind his approach. His knowledge of engine systems was encyclopedic, and his diagnostic skills rivaled those of master mechanics with decades of experience. Meanwhile, Derek worked on the sedan's electrical system, using a multimeter and diagnostic scanner with the confidence of a certified technician. The problem was intermittent starting, he explained to Marcus. The dealership wanted to replace the entire wiring harness for $3,000, but the real issue is just a corroded connection in the ignition switch assembly. $20 part, 1 hour of labor. Marcus realized he was witnessing automotive expertise that many of his dealership technicians couldn't match. These self-taught teenagers had developed diagnostic skills and problem-solving abilities that represented exceptional talent. How accurate are your diagnoses? Marcus asked. We haven't been wrong yet, Derek replied without boasting. Can't afford to be. If we misdiagnose something, we eat the cost of wrong parts and lose customer trust. In this neighborhood, reputation is everything. But when Marcus learned about the twins' biggest dream despite their challenging circumstances, he witnessed a level of ambition that would inspire him to make the most important business decision of his career. As the afternoon progressed, Marcus found himself increasingly fascinated by these remarkable young men. Derek, Damien, what are your long-term goals? Where do you see yourselves in 5 or 10 years? Both brothers paused their work, and their faces lit up with shared enthusiasm that was impossible to miss. We want to open a real automotive service center, Derek said eagerly. Not just basic repairs, but a full-service facility that specializes in making quality automotive care affordable for working families. Damien nodded enthusiastically. Too many people get ripped off by dealerships and chain shops that charge premium prices for basic services. We want to prove that excellent automotive care doesn't have to cost a fortune. But beyond that, Derek continued, his eyes bright with possibility, we want to create a training program for other kids aging out of foster care, teach them automotive skills so they can earn good livings and support themselves. The scope of their vision impressed Marcus tremendously. These weren't just teenagers trying to scrape by, they were young entrepreneurs with a comprehensive plan for building something meaningful. What's preventing you from pursuing these goals? Capital and credibility, Damien replied honestly. We need money for proper equipment, a real location, insurance, business licenses, and, most importantly, we need someone to believe that 2 kids from foster care can build something legitimate. Derek added, banks won't lend to 18-year-olds with no credit history and no collateral. Landlords won't rent commercial space to kids with no business track record. It's like a catch-22. You can't build credibility without opportunity, but you can't get opportunity without credibility. Their analytical understanding of the barriers they faced showed remarkable business acumen, but Marcus could also hear the frustration in their voices at being dismissed because of their age and background. When Marcus made an offer that would change the twins' lives forever, their response revealed the depth of character that convinced him he was making the smartest investment of his career. Marcus had heard enough to make a decision that surprised even himself. Derek, Damien, what if I told you I wanted to invest in your business? What if I offered to provide the capital and credibility you need to build the automotive service center you've described? Both brothers stared at him with expressions of shock and disbelief. Sir, Derek said carefully, that's incredibly generous, but we have to ask, what would you want in return? Nobody invests in strangers without expecting something back. Marcus smiled at their practical caution. What I would want is a partnership. I own 37 luxury car dealerships, but I've been looking for ways to expand into the affordable automotive service market. You have the technical expertise and community understanding I lack. But we're just 18-year-old kids, Damien protested. Why would you trust us with a major investment? Because, Marcus replied, I've spent the last 3 hours watching you work with the skill of master technicians, run a business with professional integrity, and articulate a vision for the future that many MBA graduates couldn't match. Age doesn't determine ability, results do. The twins exchanged one of their silent communications, then Derek asked the question that revealed their true character. Mr. Sterling, Marcus Sterling. Mr. Sterling, if you invest in our business, what happens to our current customers? We have people depending on us for affordable repairs. We can't abandon them just because we get a better opportunity. Marcus felt something shift in his chest. These young men's first concern wasn't about their own advancement, but about their responsibility to the community that had supported them. What happened next would not only transform the twins' lives, but launch an automotive revolution that would change how America thinks about car repair and opportunity. Derek, Damien, Marcus said, your loyalty to your community is exactly why this partnership will work. I'm not asking you to abandon your current customers. I'm offering to help you serve them better while expanding to help even more families. Over the next 2 hours, as the sun set over Detroit's skyline, Marcus and the twins developed the framework for what would become the most innovative automotive service concept in America. The Sterling D&D partnership would combine Marcus's business resources with the twins' technical expertise and community focus. We'll start with upgrading this location, Marcus explained, turning it into a state-of-the-art service center that maintains affordable pricing while offering premium quality. Then, we'll develop a franchise model that can be replicated in underserved communities across the country. And the training program for foster kids? Derek asked. That becomes the cornerstone of our expansion strategy, Marcus replied. We'll recruit talented young people aging out of foster care, provide them with technical training and business mentorship, then help them open their own Sterling D&D locations. Damien looked around their improvised garage with obvious emotion. You're saying we could turn this dream into reality? I'm saying we're going to prove that extraordinary talent exists in unexpected places and that business success should lift entire communities, not just individual entrepreneurs. The first Sterling D&D Automotive Center in Detroit had become a model for affordable, high-quality car care that served over 2,000 customers monthly while maintaining prices 20 to 30% below industry averages. Derek and Damien, now 21, had completed accelerated business management training and become full partners in Sterling Automotive Group. The brothers had personally trained 43 young people aging out of foster care in automotive skills, and 22 Sterling D&D locations were now operating across 7 states. Each center maintained the twins' original commitment to affordable excellence while providing career opportunities for disadvantaged youth. Most remarkably, the program had achieved something unprecedented in the automotive service industry. A 98% customer satisfaction rating combined with 40% lower average pricing than traditional service centers. Derek and Damien Sterling Johnson, they had legally changed their names to honor both their partnership with Marcus and their former foster father, who first taught them about cars, had become the youngest automotive executives to address the National Automobile Dealers Association conference. Their presentation on community-based automotive excellence was attended by over 3,000 dealers and resulted in franchise requests from all 50 states. The Sterling D&D model had proven that exceptional service and affordable pricing weren't mutually exclusive. They were complementary when delivered by passionate, well-trained professionals who understood their community's needs. Marcus kept a framed photo from that first day in the abandoned lot, the twins working on engines with improvised tools, displaying the ingenuity and determination that had impressed him immediately. Beside it was a recent image, Derek and Damien cutting the ribbon at their 100th Sterling D&D location, while Marcus beamed with paternal pride. The most successful business decision Marcus Sterling ever made wasn't acquiring a competitor or launching into a new market segment. It was recognizing exceptional talent in an abandoned lot and having the wisdom to invest in 2 young men who understood that true success means lifting your community while building your dreams. Today, the Sterling D&D network has created over 3,000 jobs, saved American families more than $50 million in automotive expenses, and provided career opportunities for hundreds of young people who might otherwise have been overlooked by traditional employers. Derek and Damien's story sparked a national conversation about aging out of foster care, recognizing potential in unconventional places and the responsibility of established businesses to invest in the next generation of entrepreneurs. Marcus learned that the best partnerships aren't built on contracts and profit projections. They're built on shared values, mutual respect, and the courage to believe that extraordinary things can happen when talent meets opportunity, regardless of age or background. Sometimes the most important business meetings happen in vacant lots with makeshift tools, when 2 teenagers with oil-stained hands teach a millionaire CEO that expertise isn't about credentials or fancy equipment. It's about passion, skill, and the determination to solve problems for people who need help most. Thank you very much for listening. Please let us know what you think of this story in the comments. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any other videos.